Hello everybody and welcome back to Connor here, and we are back here with the Fulham preview. We have a special guest, the Fulhamish YouTube channel. We have Dom on the other end to give us a little bit of an insight on everything Fulham. Dom, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Sort of still find it weird the season's started already, but it feels like we haven't really had a break, especially with us in the playoff final. But no, yeah, looking forward to getting into a game where, both of us are actually looking to get something, because obviously we both had such tough opening games.
Yeah, mate, it was baptism of fire, as I always say on the channel, for both teams, really. And, you look at the promoted teams, and obviously it was Leicester against West Brom, Arsenal against Fulham, and Leeds versus Liverpool. Wasn't the easiest weekend for us boys, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't. I remember when the fixture list came out, I was like, I'll be surprised if any of the promoted teams get a goal, let alone get your points. Obviously, you guys put 3 away at Anfield, which is probably not even many teams have even done in the last 3 seasons. And I remember watching that game and the goals was fun. I was like, what is going on? It just seemed every time you got the ball in the final third, you were putting the ball in the back of the net. But no, I'm looking forward to this season and this game, really, because obviously, apart from obviously the 3-0 victory you guys had against us post-lockdown, whenever we've played you guys when we've been down in the Championship, it's always been a very close affair.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'd completely agree. It's always been it's been tough for us, obviously, with regards to us sort of languishing in 13th to 15th for the majority of our time in the Championship. But obviously, since Radrizzani, our owner, came in, things have massively changed around. But with regards to the first weekend, Dom, I mean, obviously the promoted teams, with regards to yourself, West Bromwich Albion, Leeds. It's probably quite an obvious question, but who were you most impressed by and why, really?
I think you've got to look at Leeds. I mean, if you're scoring 3 goals away at Liverpool, you're definitely doing something right. I think the only thing you have to be worried about with Leeds is, yes, you scored these 3 goals at Everton. It was a great performance from you guys, apart from a couple of defensive mistakes when it came to the penalties. And I think the first one was a bit dubious anyway, with that handball, with the deflection as well. But yeah, I just feel like you've got to be careful that you take the positives from the performance, but you still remember that you're still on the same points as a lot of other teams. And I think that's something maybe that Fulham had last time when we're Premier League. We're playing well, we're scoring these goals, we're not getting the points, and you think, the points will come eventually. And it becomes a point where you can no longer say, we can take a point here. There's the games where you have to win, and this game is one of them. If you look at a league across the season, you look at a promoted team at home, that's one of the games you're banking on to get 3 points from. I remember when we first came out, we had Crystal Palace at home opening day of the season. We lost 2-0. We're like, we played well today. But again, if you have Palace at home in November, you're looking to get the 3 points. So I think that's one thing we've got to be careful. But with promoted teams, I was impressed with their Leeds. I was impressed, actually. It seemed a bit of a reverse of last season. Obviously, you were the underdogs, and I don't think you were probably the underdogs at any game at all last season. But you guys looked a lot more clinical. I think that was one thing you could talk about Leeds last season, is you weren't taking your chances. And that's the reason you probably, had that mid-season blip around, Christmas time, February. And then obviously you did so well just before lockdown and then straight afterwards. So, I was very impressed with you guys going forward. And West Brom, I sort of had it on in the background. I wasn't paying too much attention to it. But again, they didn't like they were creating too much. With us, to be fair, like in the first half especially, I thought we played fine. I thought we were pressing Arsenal quite well. We limited them quite a few chances. And, defensive frailties has sort of always been our problem anyway. But yeah, it was annoying to see that we weren't apart from maybe the Aubameyang goal, we weren't really carved apart by Arsenal. A lot of it was defensive mistakes. If you look at the first one, we really should be clearing that. You look at the second corner, Hector's totally on the wrong side of Gabriel. So I think that there was positive take from our game. But again, it's vital that if we don't get points against you guys and at home to Villa next weekend, then it doesn't really matter. Again, the games against, as for you, for Liverpool, and for us, Arsenal, West Brom, Leicester, they're not the games that are going to define our season. The games that will define our season, obviously, us guys playing each other, and you play Sheffield United and we play Aston Villa. So those are the games that will define the season.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting already, isn't it? I mean, I was weirdly hoping that Fulham lost at the weekend and hoping that West Brom lost at the weekend, because you're just looking for those fine margins. Ideally, every single team wants to finish 17th. And I think some fans get lost in the excitement of, we're going up. Hopefully we'll finish, maybe mid-table or whatever. And it is one of those where, bottom line, it's got to be 17th, hasn't it, Dom?
A lot of Fulham fans, not myself, but a lot of Fulham fans last time were looking too far, because obviously we signed the likes of Anguissa, Seri, Schürrle, got Mitrovic on a permanent deal. We had Sergio Rico come in. There's some very good quality players coming in, and everyone was sort of looking. Fulham and Wolves both made some good signings. Everyone was sort of looking too high, and I was like, I'll bite your hand off 17th place right now. Like, it's your first season in the Premier League. You've got to just take that 17th finish if it's offered to you, because yeah, I said when you first come up, it's all about just staying up, and then you can build on from there. You know, I'm interested to see how Aston Villa get on this season, because I think they're fairly lucky to stay out last season. I feel it's more Watford bottled it than Villa miraculously avoided the drop there. But yeah, no, I think that it is all about just survival this season for all three of us. And I think it's going to be tough for all three, because I think if you're looking at the Premier League and you're looking at the teams in it, it's a lot tougher than when we came up 2 years ago. You know, 2 years ago, you had the likes of Brighton, who were quite poor under Chris Hughton. You had Huddersfield, you had Cardiff. Whereas this season, you know, you're probably looking at, especially us and West Brom, you're probably looking at us two as the two poorest teams in the league. And they're the teams that everyone else can be looking at as the whipping boys. So I think that it is vital when you're a promoted team, or when you're any team really. If you look at Watford last season, it's their poor start that cost them. And it's all about starting strongly. Because let's say you get, it's because obviously everyone talks about the 40-point mark, or whatever it is now, 38, 37. You want to get as many points on the board as early as you can, because then it's putting less pressure on you to get the points towards the end of the season. Although you still need to do it, there are times where you're like, oh, we take a point today, but then you keep on saying that, then you run out of games where you can take a point and you have to get the 3 points. So I think having a strong start for any promoted team is going to be vital.
With regards to, obviously, I kind of want to get your insight on this, Dom. With regards to West Brom and Fulham, there's been a lot publicised and a lot amongst fans as well of Fulham and West Brom, as you've just said, being the whipping boys. Do you find that unfair when you look at a team like Leeds, who have been touted by many to sort of finish maybe like even mid-table and higher? Is that something that is potentially a little bit naive by the press and publications, or do you think that's sort of a valid way of looking at Leeds and potentially the progress this season?
I think all three promoted teams are in a similar boat. I think they will struggle this season. I don't think any three teams will finish above 14th or so. I think you guys will have enough to stay up, but I'm not talking about mid-table. I'm talking maybe 15th, 14th if you get it right, especially with a manager like Marcelo Bielsa. And you could see that last week. I don't find it naive. I find if the press can say what they want to say. I watch my team week in, week out. They don't. He's just trying to unfortunately for me, actually, we were doing a live commentary which we were streaming on Hot Mic last week, so I didn't have to listen to Martin Keown just ramble on about his absolute rubbish that he clearly hasn't researched about any teams.
Oh, Dom, I had it last week, and I was absolutely furious. I was sort of watching because I was doing the similar thing to you. I was doing a watch along. And I was watching, it was Souness, and he was talking on Sky Sports. And he actually came out and said, Leeds are not going to be able to keep this up every single game, this intensity. And then he later admitted to never watching Leeds in the Championship and being quite surprised. And you think, punditry, obviously we're going on a bit of a tangent here, Dom, but punditry, it's so sort of ignorant, isn't it? So surely if you're a pundit, you do your research on what's coming up this week. And you do your research on the lower leagues, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you'll be better off getting someone like David Prutton in the studio. He's going to have a better idea about how us two are going to play. And, it's even the same with, like, when BT are doing the Champions League. Like, when they're talking about a team that's not either, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern Munich. I don't think half of those pundits, Rio Ferdinand had a clue about Olympique Lyon when they were playing Manchester City. They seemed so surprised. And if you've seen the way Rudy Garcia had set them up, you can understand the way they were going to play. So I think, I know it's on telly, but pundits, especially when it comes to promoted teams, sometimes don't have a clue. It's not until 6 months into the season where they start having an idea. But thankfully I didn't have to do Martin Keown around. But I don't like, as I said, pundits can say what they want to say. I'm the one who's watching my team week in, week out. Same with you with Leeds United. So we know it's going to be tough. But we think that if we make some more good signings for the end of the window, there's no reason why we can't stay up. I mean, the way I'm seeing it is I see us being a lot more competitive than we were 2 seasons ago, just because I think, although we looked fairly poor at the back last week, I think there is some more defensive stability. And, when we're off the ball, there seems to be a bit more of a shape to the side. Whereas on a Slavisa Jokanovic, it was sort of, let's go all out attack. And actually, you can't do that in the Premier League when you've got a back line of Tim Ream, Cyrus Christie, Joe Bryan, Dennis Odoi. I mean, it simply isn't going to work. I think we played about 8 different back lines in the first 10 games or something crazy. And that's what you need in the Premier League's promoted team is you do need that stability. If you keep chopping and changing, it doesn't work. You keep changing. Oh, it didn't work this week. We'll try and get a result here. So, I think when it's all about keeping that. It's all about keeping your heads up, keeping that team chemistry within the side, playing as a unit, playing as a team. Individual quality will tell, but if you look at Sheffield United last season, take Leeds team. How many Sheffield United players for example, would get into Leeds United's team? I wouldn't say it would be loads or even that many. So I think you've got to look how important a good start is and how important building that team bond and team chemistry is.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously building that team in general, Dom. With regards to your reinforcements and your transfer moves already, obviously we've seen Harrison Reed come through the door. But it has been it's been a little bit quiet for Fulham. Does that worry you, or are you sort of taking sort of the knowledge from last time when you went up, spent all that money and you didn't really improve as such? Obviously giving Tom Cairney a go in the Premier League is something I think we all wanted to see, because he didn't get a go last time. Are you seeing a little bit of a difference in recruitment, reinforcements, and just generally Scott Parker as manager?
Yeah, I definitely feel like Scott Parker gets our recruitment strategy a lot more than our previous managers, especially Slavisa Kalevich. He'd always be arguing and saying stuff in the press about, stuff in the recruitment side. I think Scott Parker's definitely on board with it. If you look at, I think what we're looking at is not, as you saw, we didn't start one new signing. I don't think there's one new signing in our squad, bar obviously Harrison Reed, who came in on a permanent deal last weekend. So I feel like we're taking we are improving. Obviously, we've got Reed and Lamina in from Southampton. We've got Anthony Robinson in from Wigan. We've obviously got Olaina in from Torino, and we've got Tete in from Olympic Lyon. So we're improving. But again, we're not just signing all these big names who've got the sort of caliber of ability that you want, but maybe they won't be performing. So I'm quite happy with the business we've done so far. I think we're maybe 2 signings off our full business. I'm expecting to get at least one more centre-back through the door. I don't think Hector and Tim Ream can really be our starting centre-back partnership for the rest of the season. Otherwise, it's going to be curtains for us. And, as we saw last week, we probably could do with a backup striker. I know Abubakar Kamara runs around a lot, but the technical ability is not exactly the greatest. And so basically, maybe a backup forward who can also play wide. And we're linked with Josh King. So a player, maybe not Josh King particularly, but a player in that sort of mould, I think would be a good signing for us. But yeah, as I said, it's weird because it's a weird scene to sort of analyse, because you've still got like 3 or 4 weeks of the transfer window left, so anything could really happen here. But I'm happy with the business we've done so far. We've sort of approached it in a different manner. A few of the players have been loan signings, and the players we have signed on permanent deals, like Anthony Robinson, he was only £2 million. You look at Tete, who's only, I think, £3 million. So they're definitely doing it in a much more sensible manner, and I think they learned that from last time. And I think what's different to last time is there will be not little expectation, but there won't be so much pressure on us as last time. I feel like when you come up, there's always a promoted team, there's loads of pressure on them, or a team who spends those, like Villa last season, us and Wolves season before. Wolves did well with it, but you can look at the quality of Wolves squad and see why they've done so well. And then I think that out of the, I'm not saying there's going to be loads of pressure on you guys, but out of the promoted teams, the most pressure is probably on you. And I think that for us, maybe the pressure not being on us might actually work in our favour this season.
I think you bang on. I think that's a huge thing with the media hype. It's a huge thing with Marcelo Bielsa. It's a huge thing. Been out of the Premier League for 16 years. I think there is a lot of pressure on Leeds. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not we cope with it. But with regards to the last time we met, Dom, Leeds 3, Fulham 0. I was in that first half absolutely petrified because Leeds couldn't get the ball, and it's one of those, obviously, under Scott Parker, you've started playing a very fluid football, very good, passing out from the back, of course. And you've got a lot of technically gifted footballers in that side, especially, in the Championship. But it seemed we held firm defensively, and I think the game swung massively in the second half. And Leeds, obviously, were massively dangerous on the counter-attack, which it's going to be interesting to see. How do you see this game going, Dom? Obviously, I think there's going to be a little bit of improvements, and it's going to be a lot closer for me, obviously, with Ben White going out the door, Robin Koch, our new German international defender, sort of adapting to life in the Premier League. If Alexander Mitrovic is starting up front, we saw that battle between him and Ben White last time. Do you see it being a little bit closer this time?
Yeah, as you said, I feel like in that first half, in the 3-0, I thought we were probably the better team. We think we played very well. We were very unlucky not to get in the lead, really. And that happened in the first game post-lockdown against Brentford as well. We played well in that, and then we conceded 2 goals right at the death. So yeah, I think it will be close. I think it'll be a bit more like the other games we've seen in the Championship between us. Obviously, there was our 2-1 victory at Craven Cottage. That was a very close game. Obviously, we got that dubious penalty, which I still don't really know what it was given for. But I think it will be a very close game. I think it's because last week we saw you play so well, but I think we saw you play so well last week because you were the underdog and you were getting the team on a counter-attack. And I don't see that being the same situation this weekend. I think it will be a tough game for both teams. And I think, as I said, it will be very close. I'm interested to see sort of how both teams line up, because we didn't play any of our new signings last week, and obviously we both got cup games midweek. You against Hull, us against Ipswich. So it's interesting to see what sort of teams play, because we could see to the Fulham team, 3 or 4 changes. I don't expect so, but you could do. Mitrovic didn't start. You'd expect him to come in. We've signed 2 new right backs in Tete and Ian. I expect one of them to start. We could even see Fulham move to a back 5. We moved Dennis Adoy into a third centre back, and I think it might be slightly different. As in, I think you might have a bit more of the ball this time. I think we might let you have the ball and then try and hit you guys on the counter attack. But yeah, no, I think it'll be a lot closer. And I think the difference is, I think there's a lot of pressure on you, on both of us, but more on you guys in this game, because you guys, although we probably need to win this game as well as you guys. For you guys, you can't not win this game. I mean, your first home game back in the Premier League against, arguably a worse team than yourselves. Because we finished 4th, you finished first last season. So it's interesting to see how the Leeds players and how the whole team really deals with the pressure. And I think that if we take a point in this game, I think obviously we'll be the much happier team.
Yeah, and yeah, it's interesting what you say there, Dom. I mean, we've got a real tough run coming up. Obviously, the 4th game is Manchester City at home. We've already played Liverpool away. We've got Wolves as well, Sheffield United in there. So, it's all the top 10 teams. So it would have been nice to sort of bed our way in a little bit. But it's hellfire and fury, as I always say on this channel, straight away. So, in terms of the lineup there, you were talking about Fulham adopting a different strategy, and I think that is probably wise in terms of, because I do think we can sort of sit back a little bit, but we're very quick on the counter attack. Do you see there being, when you play Leeds United, are you a little bit nervous?
I'm always nervous whenever any team's running at our back line. I mean, if I'm being perfectly frank, but no, the speed that you guys are counter attack last week. I mean, we haven't exactly got a rapid defence. I think we've got there's some solid players in there, but I'm always worried when it comes to Fulham's defence. I've never been worried when Fulham are attacking. We've got goals on our side with the likes of Mitrovic. Onomah scored quite a few last season, Cabano, etc. So yeah, I'm worried more to the fact that I know how damaging your counter attack can be. But we saw that, as I said, in the 3-0 victory. I think it was Luke Ayling went on the overlap for the second goal. I was like, this is 2-0. I could just tell it already. The ball comes in, all our players seem to just fall over, and it fell straight to your player. I can't remember who got the second goal, but yeah, no. When it comes to our lineup, it'll be interesting to see. Actually, we'll see recording this before both our League Cup games this evening, but interesting to see sort of what lineup both teams play tonight. Whether it will be trying to bed in some new players or actually playing some players who are going to play on the weekend. But I expect I can't see a reason why Rodak would be dropped. I think he'll stay in goal, and obviously we've got Areola in the wings waiting, but I can't see a reason. I think he needs to give the manager a reason to be dropped. I think any goalkeeper does, unless you're like Gazaniga and Lloris is coming back in, for example, from last season. But yeah, I expect that. And then I as much as I would like to see potentially a back 5, I don't think Scott Parker's going to trial it in this game.
Yeah,
I do expect one of the new right backs to come in. I think maybe Tete's coming at right back.
Dom, could I just sorry, mate? Can I just interject you there, because you're talking about just a lineup, and I just want to get your point of view just on this little bit. Going up against Leeds, obviously you've had an initial lineup that played as last season. Obviously Harrison Reed, Hector, Mitrovic, etc. Is it a wise decision to sort of start chopping and changing and sort of bringing new signings in against a sort of a Marcelo Bielsa side who are going to be so sort of relentless and intense throughout 90 minutes? If you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think it is about bringing new signings in, but not changing the entire team, for example. I think it's improving in positions which needed to be improved, like the right back position. Because obviously, as much as Cyrus Chrissy and Dennis Adoy played well last season, they're not Premier League quality. We saw that last time. So for me, it's more, I would be starting most of the players who started last week and who started in the Championship. There's just a couple of tweaks, I think, which need to be made if we are going to compete. And I think playing right back like Kenny Tete, for example, as I alluded to, because he was playing Manchester City in the Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. I think it is, you do want to keep the continuity from last season, and I think and I think that's very important as a promoted team. But it is important to bring in those strengths. And I think there's certain positions which I would be bringing players in who have just signed just because from what I saw last week. So I don't expect the game to go in a similar manner, but I do expect you to be the dominant side on the ball. So I do think that there's a couple of changes which I saw from last week, which I think we might be able to tweak it here.
Yeah, no, I see something similar there, to be honest, Dom. If we were to get your score prediction, mate, what would you be going for?
Well, I can't come on and just say we're going to lose. No, but I think I'm confident it's getting a result. So I'm going to say we'll be able to get a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight, mate. I'm just going to stick my neck out on the line. I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds, but I think it's going to be just. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the difference last time was at half-time was sort of adapting this strategy where we brought Pablo Hernandez on in the second half, and teams couldn't really deal with that towards the latter end post-lockdown. We'd start Tyler Roberts in the cam role, and then we'd bring Roberts off and start Pablo Hernandez. It's going to be really interesting to see Pablo Hernandez starting from the beginning, because I don't know whether or not he would be able to have as much of an impact as he would in the second half. And I think when he came on in the second half against you boys with the 3-0 victory, the game completely changed.
Yeah, no, that was very easy to see. As soon as he came on, he was sort of stretching our defence and like sort of leaving so many gaps for you guys with your bombing fullbacks to get in behind as well. And I'm interested to see sort of because everyone talked about obviously the way I spoke about earlier, the way you guys played last week, but I think we're going to see a totally different Leeds, the way Leeds are playing compared to last week. Because obviously you guys were trying to soak up the pressure from Liverpool's front three, then hit them on the counter attack. And obviously, we're going to get the ball into Mitrovic, and he's going to cause problems. But it's not going to be the same. It's going to be interesting to see how you adapt to being maybe the more dominant side in a Premier League game, and maybe the pressure obviously that comes with that. And will we try and contain you, then hit you guys on the counter attack? Or will it be sort of a bit like last time where I think possession was probably like 53-47, so no team dominated it completely, but both teams were sort of trying to counter-attack each other, which as you definitely saw that in the first half, really. So yeah, it's interesting to see, but no, I'm confident we can get a result. I don't think we'll win the game, but I'm confident we'll get a point, and that will sort of get us rolling for the season. Then we move into the Fulham weekend again, or Fulham Monday against Aston Villa, and then that becomes a must-win game for us.
Yeah, and the must-win games are coming thick and fast, aren't they?
2 or 3 games into season, must-wins already.
No, I think I've said this is a must-win already. But mate, it's been really good, guys. If you do want to check out Dom and the Fulhamish podcast, please go check them out. They do some fantastic content, very, very clean and professional stuff. So go and check those guys out. Dom, it's been a pleasure, mate, and yeah, it's we'll have to reconvene at another point in the season, and yeah, all your links will be in the description below, mate. And good luck for after this game, of course.
Yeah, well, good. I hope you do well for the rest of the season, apart from the 2 times we have to play you.